My name is Amina. I am 27 years old, and I was born in Kano, in northern Nigeria. My father was an important man at our local mosque. People came to him for advice. They respected him. They respected our family name. From the time I could speak, I learned the Quran by heart. Every morning before sunrise, I heard the call to prayer echo through our neighborhood. 5 times a day, our entire household stopped everything to pray. My mother taught me to cover myself properly. She taught me to lower my eyes when men walked by. She taught me that a good Muslim girl never questions, never doubts, never asks why. Amina, she would say, our family has followed Allah for generations. We are blessed to know the true path. I nodded. I smiled. I obeyed. But inside my chest, there was something heavy, something that never went away. During prayers, I watched my father's lips move with the Arabic words. I watched my mother bow her head to the ground. I did the same movements, said the same words, but the heaviness stayed. At night, alone in my small room, I would stare at the ceiling. The weight in my chest felt like a stone. Sometimes I cried, but quietly, very quietly. I wondered if other girls felt this way. I wondered if something was wrong with me. Why do I feel so empty? I whispered to the darkness. My family thought I was the perfect daughter. I memorized every verse they taught me. I never missed a prayer. I never complained about wearing my hijab in the hot Nigerian sun. But every night, that same question came back. Who are you, really? I would ask God in the silence of my room. I had no idea that question would change everything. I had no idea someone was already listening. Every day in our house followed the same pattern. Wake up before dawn, wash, pray. Eat what my mother prepared. Help with household duties. Pray again. Study the Quran. Pray again. Eat dinner. Pray once more. Sleep. The same routine, day after day, year after year. My father watched everything I did. He watched how I walked, how I spoke, how I looked at people. My mother watched too. Even my younger brothers had permission to correct me if I did something wrong. A woman's honor is her family's honor, my father often said during our evening meals. One mistake brings shame to everyone. I felt like I was living inside a glass box. Everyone could see me, but I could not breathe freely. When I was 16, my friend Fatima started asking questions about our faith. She wondered why women could not lead prayers. She wondered why we had to cover ourselves completely while men wore whatever they wanted. Fatima, I warned her, you should not think such things. But secretly, I wondered the same things. One evening, Fatima's family moved away suddenly. My mother told me Fatima had been asking too many questions and causing problems. This is what happens, my mother said, when girls do not accept their place. I never saw Fatima again. After that, I became more careful. I smiled more. I agreed with everything my parents said. I memorized even more verses from the Quran. But the heaviness in my chest grew stronger. Sometimes during our family prayers, I would close my eyes and imagine flying away, far away from the watching eyes, far away from the rules that felt like chains around my soul. Am I a bad person for feeling this way? I asked myself. The question scared me. Good Muslim girls did not have such thoughts. At the mosque, I listened to the Imam speak about paradise and hell. He described the punishments for those who strayed from the path. The descriptions made my hands shake, but even fear could not make the emptiness go away. I began to pray differently when I was alone. Instead of reciting the memorized prayers, I spoke to God like He was sitting in the room with me. If you are truly there, I whispered, please help me understand why I feel so lost. The silence that followed felt heavy, but somehow, it also felt like someone was listening. Months passed, and the feeling inside me changed from heaviness to something else, hunger. I was hungry for something I could not name, something I had never tasted. During our family prayers, I went through the motions. I bowed at the right times. I said the right words, but my heart was somewhere else, searching for something real. My mother began to notice my distraction. "Amina, you seem distant lately," she said one morning while we prepared breakfast. "Are you well?" "Yes, Mama, I am fine." But I was not fine. I felt like I was slowly disappearing inside myself. I started paying attention to things I had never noticed before. When my little brother laughed while playing in our courtyard, something in his joy made me ache. When I saw birds flying freely above our compound walls, I felt a strange longing. Why do I feel like I am living someone else's life? I thought. At night, my private conversations with God became longer. I told him about the emptiness. I told him about my confusion. I told him I was tired of pretending to be satisfied. "I want to know you," I whispered into the darkness. "Not the words about you, not the rules about you. I want to know who you really are." Sometimes I felt foolish talking to the ceiling, but I could not stop. One evening, while helping my mother fold clothes, I asked her a question that surprised even me. "Mama, do you ever feel empty when you pray?" She stopped folding and stared at me. "What kind of question is that, Amina? I just wonder if everyone feels the same peace during prayer." "A faithful Muslim always finds peace in prayer," she said firmly. "If you do not feel peace, you must pray harder. You must memorize more verses. You must surrender more completely." I nodded and continued folding clothes. But her answer made me feel more alone than ever. That night, I cried longer than usual. The hunger inside me was growing stronger, but I had no idea what could satisfy it. "God," I whispered, "if there is more than this, if there is something I am missing, please show me. I am so tired of being hungry for something I cannot understand." I fell asleep with tears on my pillow. I did not know that my prayer was about to be answered in a way I could never imagine. 3 weeks after that tearful prayer, something unexpected happened. A new family moved into the house next to ours. The woman's name was Grace. She was about my mother's age, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. My mother was suspicious from the beginning. "They are not from our community," she told my father. "I heard they are Christians." The word Christian was spoken like a curse in our house. Christians were people who had lost their way, people who worshipped 3 gods instead of one, people to be pitied and avoided. But Grace was different from what I expected. When she saw me in our courtyard, she always greeted me warmly. She never tried to argue about religion. She never seemed angry or lost like I was told Christians were. Instead, she seemed to carry a peace that I had never seen before. One afternoon, while I was hanging clothes outside, I heard something beautiful coming from Grace's house. It was singing, but not like any singing I had ever heard. The melody was simple, but the words, even though I could not understand all of them, they seemed to wrap around my heart like a warm blanket. I found myself stopping my work just to listen. "Amina," Grace called softly from her courtyard. "Do you like the music?" I looked around quickly to make sure no one was watching. "It is different," I said. She smiled. "It is a song about God's love, about how He never gives up on us." Those words hit something deep inside me. God's love? Yes. He loves us so much that He came to earth just to be close to us, to show us who He really is. I had never heard anyone talk about God like that. In my world, God was distant, demanding, always watching for mistakes. "How do you know this?" I asked. Grace looked at me for a long moment. Then she glanced around carefully, just as I had done. "Would you like to see?" she whispered. My heart started beating faster. I knew I should say no. I knew I should walk away. Instead, I nodded. Grace disappeared into her house and returned with a small book. It was worn and well read. "This tells the story of God's love," she said, handing it to me through a gap in our fence. "Read it when you are alone. If it does not speak to your heart, just return it to me." I took the book with trembling hands. It felt heavier than it looked. "What is it?" I whispered. "It is called the Bible." That night, alone in my room, I opened it for the first time. The first words I read made my hands shake. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Someone was speaking directly to my hungry heart. For 2 months, I read the Bible in secret. Every night after my family went to sleep, I would hide under my blanket with a small flashlight and read page after page. I read about Jesus healing the sick. I read about him feeding thousands of people with just a few loaves of bread. I read about his love for those whom society rejected. But it was his words that changed everything inside me. "I am the way, the truth, and the life. I have come that you might have life and have it abundantly. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you." These words felt like water to my thirsty soul. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was hearing from the God I had been searching for. The more I read, the more the hunger in my heart began to be satisfied. But also, the more dangerous my situation became. One evening, my mother found me staring out the window toward Grace's house. "Amina, you have been different lately," she said, studying my face. "You smile more, but you also seem distant during prayers." My heart started pounding. "I am the same, Mama." "No," she said slowly. "Something has changed. Your father has noticed it too." That night at dinner, my father announced that he had arranged for me to marry a man from a respected Muslim family in a nearby town. "It is time for Amina to have a husband who will guide her spiritual life properly," he said. I felt like the walls were closing in around me. The thought of marrying someone who would control me even more than my family did made me feel sick. Later that evening, I heard my parents talking in their room. "I think that Christian woman next door has influenced our daughter," my mother was saying. "Amina asks strange questions now. She seems distracted." "If that is true," my father replied, "we will handle it immediately. No daughter of mine will be corrupted by those people." I pressed my back against my bedroom wall, terrified. They suspected something. The next morning, my father watched me more carefully than usual. During our family prayers, I felt his eyes on me, studying every movement, every expression. That afternoon, while my parents were at the market, Grace called to me from her garden. "Amina, you look troubled. Is everything well?" I wanted to tell her everything, but I was afraid. What if someone saw us talking? What if my parents found out? "My family is becoming suspicious," I whispered through the fence. "They think you have influenced me." Grace's face became serious. "Have you been reading?" I nodded. "And what does your heart tell you about what you have read?" Tears filled my eyes. "It tells me I have found the God I was looking for my whole life. But I am afraid. If my family discovers this." "Amina," Grace said gently, "there comes a time when we must choose between the approval of people and the truth of God. I will pray for you, but the choice is yours to make." That night, I knew I could not keep living this double life. The Bible hidden under my mattress felt like it was burning through the sheets. I had to decide who I really belonged to. 2 days later, I reached my breaking point. My father had invited the man I was supposed to marry to our house for dinner. His name was Ibrahim, and he was twice my age. During the meal, he spoke about how he would make sure I followed Islamic law perfectly. He talked about me like I was not even in the room. "A woman needs strong guidance," he said to my father. "I will make sure she has no time for foolish thoughts." After he left, I went to my room and closed the door. I pulled the Bible from under my mattress and held it against my chest. "I cannot do this," I whispered. "I cannot live a lie for the rest of my life." That night, I waited until the house was completely quiet. Then I knelt beside my bed and opened the Bible to the words that had touched my heart the most. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I looked up at the ceiling and spoke to Jesus like he was right there with me. Jesus, I whispered, I do not understand everything about you yet, but I know you are the God I have been searching for. The God who loves me not because of what I do, but because of who I am. Tears started flowing down my face. I am tired of pretending. I am tired of being afraid. I want to belong to you, even if it costs me everything. As I spoke these words, something incredible happened. The heaviness that had lived in my chest for 27 years began to lift. It felt like chains were breaking off my heart. I give you my life, I continued. I do not know what will happen to me, but I trust you. I choose you over everything else. At that moment, the room filled with a peace I had never experienced. It was like being wrapped in love itself. The emptiness was gone, replaced by a fullness that made me want to laugh and cry at the same time. I felt clean. I felt free. I felt like I was finally home. Thank you, I whispered through my tears. Thank you for finding me. I stayed on my knees for a long time, just enjoying the presence of God in my room. For the first time in my life, I was not afraid of being watched, because I knew the one watching me loved me completely. The next morning, everything looked different. The same courtyard, the same walls, the same family routines. But I was not the same person. My mother noticed immediately. Amina, what has happened to you? You look different. I smiled. I feel different, Mama. Different how? I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to share the peace I had found, but I knew it was too dangerous. I just slept well, I said. But throughout that day, I could not hide the change completely. There was a lightness in my step, a calmness in my voice, a joy in my eyes that had never been there before. My father watched me suspiciously during our evening prayer. When I bowed my head, I was not reciting the familiar Arabic words. Instead, I was talking to Jesus in my heart, thanking him for saving me. I knew this new life would come with a price. I just did not know how high that price would be. 3 weeks later, my secret was discovered. My younger brother found the Bible hidden under my mattress while I was helping my mother in the kitchen. He ran to my father immediately. The rage in my father's eyes when he held up that small book was unlike anything I had ever seen. You have brought shame upon our entire family, he shouted. You have betrayed everything we taught you. My mother began crying. How could you do this to us, Amina? How could you turn your back on Allah? I have not turned my back on God, I said quietly. I have found him. My father slapped me across the face so hard that I fell to the ground. That evening, men from our extended family gathered in our courtyard. They spoke in angry voices about honor and shame. They said I was a disgrace to the family name. She must be punished as an example, my uncle said, so that no other girl will think she can abandon the faith. Late that night, they tied my hands behind my back and forced me into a car. They drove me to an empty field outside the town. This is your last chance, my father said. Renounce this false religion and return to Islam. We will forgive you. I looked at the faces of these men who had once loved me, men who had taught me to ride a bicycle and celebrated my birthdays. Now they looked at me like I was their enemy. I cannot deny Jesus, I said. He is my Lord and my Savior. They poured gasoline around me and lit a circle of fire. As the flames grew higher, I closed my eyes and began to pray. Jesus, if this is how my life ends, I am grateful that I found you. Please forgive them, because they do not understand what they are doing. But something miraculous happened. The fire burned my clothes completely, but my skin remained untouched. I felt warm, but not burned. It was as if someone was standing in the flames with me, protecting me. Some of the men began screaming and running away. There is someone in the fire with her, they shouted. Someone in white? When the flames died down, I was still standing, unharmed. My father stared at me in terror and confusion. Then he turned and left without saying another word. I never saw my family again. Christian friends helped me escape to another region of Nigeria, where I now live quietly. I work as a teacher in a small school. I help other women who have fled from dangerous situations. The scars on my body are few, but they remind me every day that I belong to Christ. I lost my family, my hometown, and my old life, but I gained something much more precious: eternal life and perfect peace. Every morning when I wake up, I thank Jesus for saving me from that fire. But more than that, I thank Him for saving me from the spiritual emptiness that was killing me slowly. I pray every day for my family. I pray that someday they will understand that the love I found is big enough to include them too. My name is Amina, and this is my testimony of how Jesus Christ set me free.